Okay, would it really be a Cole Thompson SEC Unfiltered video if I didn't throw a pop culture reference somewhere in the middle? And after the chaos that occurred in week 6, I cannot stop thinking about The Dark Knight. What I really can't stop thinking about is Heath Ledger's Joker and what he stood for in the city of Gotham. And right now, there's one scene that stands out that truly encapsulates the SEC. So Batman's trying to find out as much information in the police precinct about where Harvey Dent and Rachel are. And you just see the Joker say, "We're not so different, you and I. Eventually, the city of Gotham will turn on you just like it turned on me. They'll cast you out." And then he leans forward and he says, "See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve. SEC Unfiltered, I'm not a monster. I just was always right on Diego Pavia." So what's going on, SEC Unfiltered family? It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below, because we're talking all things Pavia power, all things Vanderbilt football, all things SEC moving forward. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure you're following us on the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. If you want to keep the back and forth banter alive and well, make sure that you follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson on Twitter and Instagram, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Use the promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. Don't you want to look good and feel good this upcoming fall on game days? Do so as the weather changes with a brand new pullover, a brand new hoodie, whatever you see fit. RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU. I will not be taking my long-standing victory lap on Diego Pavia not being the worst quarterback in the SEC. What I am going to do is I am going to call out people for doing what is the natural norm in this sport. If you had Diego Pavia as the number 16 quarterback in the SEC moving into week 1, please stand up. Shame. Shame on all of you. Shame on every single one of you for believing that just because it's a Vanderbilt, this kid can't do it right. And this is where I always have a problem. And people who have been following this channel know for a very long time, I have been probably the president, the leader, and maybe even the dictator of the Pavia Power fan club. I have been preaching number 2's name as one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC since the start of the season. But what was so baffling to me is that people now seeing as Vanderbilt marches throughout the city of Nashville and dumps the standings, dumps the field goal, the flag post into the Cumberland River. People standing there and saying, how is this possible? How is this even possible that Alabama loses to Vanderbilt? Well, for starters, it's culture, and the culture starts with number 2, Diego Pavia. The kid last year at New Mexico State marched on into the city of Auburn, marched on into Jordan-Hare Stadium, marched on in to take on one of the more, I would say, still invictive SEC programs, and made it look like New Mexico State was the SEC team. Over 3 touchdowns, over 275 yards of offense, and it never was even close. The Aggies trumped the Tigers in their backyard. And now, Diego Pavia can truly be one of a handful of people that says, I won the national championship Iron Bowl. I own the state of Alabama. Governor Kay Ivey, it's best in luck to see you. I'm glad that whatever you're doing in office, I'm going to kick you on out this November because if I am now in charge of the state of Alabama, I am now the commander-in-chief of the Yellowhammer State. There's something about having a certain aura about yourself that truly carries a lot of weight, and that's what Diego Pavia has. That's what I saw in Diego Pavia when he signed on to be at Vanderbilt. And by the way, this is a kid that almost didn't allow the greatest upset we have seen in probably a decade occur, because if there was a rumor, and if you go check out the 24/7 Sports article, Pavia was potentially leaving to go to Nevada this offseason. Wasn't guaranteed the starting job despite having a great relationship with Jerry Kill, with offense coordinator Tim Beck. Nate Johnson comes on in from Utah, and there's a battle ensuing. And there was a conversation that potentially what's best for me is to bet on myself, go to the Mountain West, and maybe change the Wolfpack's aura for the better. No. I'm going to play in the SEC because I've already shown people before I can win in the SEC. This has been a long time coming. This has been something that I can promise you Diego Pavia believed was possible well before the fourth quarter when everyone was sitting inside of First Bank Stadium. Alabama fans clad in the crimson and white. Vanderbilt fans who flooded the flock. Construction workers who were watching to see if they were going to corral the field that they were remodeling at that point. It was so much more than that. Pavia believed that this was possible after what he did last year down in Jordan-Hare Stadium. He probably believed it when he was still walking on at a JUCO program and finally got offered a scholarship by New Mexico State. Because if you read into the lines, great quote by the Athletic, Ralph Russo, talking about his mother, Antoinette Padilla. If you want something, you work for it. What did he work for? He worked for his opportunity to prove that he was the best quarterback fit for a Commodore program that was turning the corner. What did he earn? What did he work for? He worked for the opportunity to earn a scholarship at New Mexico State underneath Jerry Kill. What did he work for? He worked to beat out Eli Stowers, who eventually became one of the big fixtures of this team out in Nashville to win the title of QB1. What did he work for? He worked to beat an SEC team and take his program to a Conference USA championship. And even still afterwards, what did he work for? He worked to prove to the other programs that never thought of him as anything more than just a G5 quarterback, he was good enough to take down the Giants. The reason why this upset is so fantastic, if you are a Diego Pavia stan, and more importantly, if you just love college football chaos, is because of this is a kid that was a 2-star player that beat a bunch of 5-stars in his backyard at a program known for calculators and bow ties, not commitment and consistency. That's what he did. That's what he was capable of. And by the way, it's been a long time coming. This was no fluke. It wasn't just Alabama had a bad day at the office. No, Vanderbilt outplayed them. Vanderbilt outcoached them. Vanderbilt looked like the more physically dominant team, and Vanderbilt had the quarterback that, when needed to be called upon, stepped up and didn't make a mistake. And while doing so, didn't flinch at the moment of opportunity that he had. That's what makes this upset so fantastic. That's what makes players like Diego Pavia special in the history of college football. Legends, if you will, in our favorite sport. And I hate that word legend. I truly do. Because if we overuse it, we oversaturate it, we think that everyone deserves some flowers for doing something great. But it is a little bit different. Vanderbilt had never won against the number 1 team in the country. And in fact, they've never beaten a top 5 team in the country. Keep in mind, this was a roster that just a year ago was so downtrodden, people were ready to believe that Clark Lee, one of the few, the proud, the Commodore commits that truly believes in seeing a future unfolding in Nashville, was on the hot seat. This wasn't a team that just found a way to get win. No, it was them outgaining you, them outworking you, them out physically dominating you. And then here comes the fourth quarter, and you think to yourself, okay, well, this has got to be the moment where Alabama turns it on. There's 15 minutes left in the matchup. Of course, the Crimson Tide will find a way to use this as a way to view rat poison as a thing, but avoid the upset. And what does Diego Pavia do? He steps on up, picks up a first down, ices the game as US Bank Stadium is flooded in a sea of gold and black. That's what you got. He is a legend. This is not a team that was supposed to do anything this year. This was not a team that many people outside of the 2 voters that every single offseason do it as a joke, placed as a bowl-eligible roster. And the best is still ahead of them. People now have to wonder, what will Diego Pavia do to us? Guys, it's more than just beating Alabama. He's been about as perfect as you can ask for a quarterback this year. And I'm not saying perfect in terms of, oh, he is winning the Heisman Trophy, but he doesn't have a turnover. He has over 1,300 yards of offense and 10 touchdowns. He's averaging 9.3 yards per pass. His pass rating of 169.7 is the highest through 5 games in Vanderbilt history. He looks like a complete difference maker, and he's got that dog in him that is now setting a standard by those who follow him into battle, including the fans. And the best part is, it ain't slowing down anytime soon. You wake up on an October Sunday morning and say, hey, good for Vanderbilt for hitting the over on their win total, not just in conference play, but also in their season play. And then you have to drop your jaw and say, oh, no, it was against Alabama. That's a team to where every other SEC opponent wakes up this morning and says, crap, we got to play them. We got to play them now. Ball State, Kentucky on the road, at Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, even Tennessee, they showed some struggles. You allow Vanderbilt to hang around just a little bit too long, congratulations. They're going to give you their best punch. That was no fluke that you saw on a Saturday afternoon in Nashville, where a bunch of fans from the Crimson Tide decided to go on up and maybe hit up Broadway, have some fun at the Barstool Bar, and say, you know what? We got to catch a football game. Instead, they witnessed the reality of what is going to be the Diego Pavia power, who I have firmly nicknamed Babayaga at this point. Babayaga is coming to a city near you, and you best deliver your best punch. A player like Diego Pavia also stands for so much more when it comes to the future of college football. There is a rule right now trying to be passed where walk-ons do not have a place in the world of college football. Diego Pavia's story is not written without the walk-on JUCO rule, because when he showed up at the New Mexico Military Institute, he was given no chance. None. And he worked his way to win a JUCO national title, and he worked his way to be QB1 down at New Mexico State, and he worked his way to prove that he could beat up on an SEC team. And when everyone still doubted the kid besides yours truly, he decided to go ahead and take down Goliath himself, almost single-handedly. Almost single-handedly. And those of you out there still saying, but it's Diego Pavia. How can we trust it? Was it Diego Pavia when he beat Auburn last year? Was it Diego Pavia when he needed to go ahead and find a way to score in overtime against against Virginia Tech? Bring back his Commodores in the win of all wins. Was it Diego Pavia that was able to nearly secure the clutches of defeat? Actually pull himself out of the jaws of defeat when taking on Georgia State? Or was that just old school Vanderbilt? Having the quarterback actually does a lot of work. And now everyone knows that Pavia is going to be the guy. Everyone knows that Pavia can be a threat. Everyone knows that Pavia can be somebody that you do not want to mess with on a Saturday afternoon, because he's showing up looking like basically Jason Voorhees, but Baba Yaga's spirit is about ready to take over your town. It's a great storyline in college football. This is why we love the sport, because of on any given Saturday, the 5 stars attached to your names don't matter. The 4 stars that currently are blocking for your quarterback, they become second fiddle. And the kid that came out of nowhere, New Mexico, in the heart of Tennessee, literally one of the biggest locations and one of the best locations in all of college football in the southeastern region, defines what it truly means to be the underdog and doesn't flinch when given the opportunity. Maybe he is the Joker. Maybe he's Baba Yaga. I'm not sure. Here's what I do know as I stand as a Diego Pavia truther from the get-go of the start of the season. You were wrong to put him at number 16 in any quarterback ranking simply because of the logo attached to his name. You didn't look at the dog in his heart. And also, I wasn't a monster. Welcome on into the dark side, ladies and gentlemen. I just was ahead of the Diego Pavia curve. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is Diego Pavia now a player that you're rooting for to see continuous success? Is Vanderbilt simply on path to having a remarkable year in the sport? Like, rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, Commodore Nation, anchor down and peace.